Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to Facts and Two Cents. Hope you are having a great day, having a great Sunday, or early morning Monday, which is when I'm recording this. Very late night, early morning recording. And the last bit, I figured I'd do the last bit of Jamaica and figured, since we're going into a new week, I'm sure well, obviously, there are other topics that we're going to go into. Some of it is breaking today, but we'll get into that in another episode. But I thought I'd tie up a few loose ends with our faves in Jamaica with these beautiful, beautiful photos. I cannot get enough of how beautiful these photos are with Harry and Meghan meeting Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness, at least publicly. I don't know if they've ever met before, at least publicly, I don't know, but privately, who knows? But wonderful time, and of course, we know that all the big hubbub that happened because of it. But that's fine. That's fine. We're come to expect something like that whenever it's Harry and Meghan, especially about from those on Shutter Island. But we are going to enjoy our faves nonetheless. One of the wonderful things about this whole thing and about Jamaica is just the relationship that Harry and Meghan have with Jamaica. You know that Meghan, way back long before she met Harry, Jamaica was one of her favorite places. It's where she got married the first time. We also know that this is where, before Harry and Meghan got engaged, this is where they went to Harry's friend's wedding. And also, these photos, this is Harry in 2012 visiting on behalf of the Queen and one of his royal tours, basically to sweeten up Jamaica for them to not run off and become a republic. He went there, did a fantastic job. That's him and Rita Marley. There's him kissing Rita Marley's hands and him with Usain Bolt and also the Jamaican Prime Minister and him dancing with people there, having a great time in Jamaica. And so that is one of the popular tours that he did, and he was lauded and praised and sort of like smooth over all the rough edges that others had that went before him. So all in all, this was a very successful tour, even though I heard that there were a few protesters and all of that stuff as well, but definitely not to the extent where we saw Kate and William in their charmless offensive tour. Definitely a lot different from that. But one of the things that I didn't know that happened, and that actually is on the royal family website, is someone on X alerted us to this. And I read it and I was like, well, oh my goodness, I didn't even know it was there because, again, I wasn't really paying attention to Harry and his trip to Jamaica. But this is on the royal family website, and it's a love letter from Prince Harry to Jamaica. Really. It says a message from Prince Harry to the Governor General of Jamaica. Whoa! I have totally fallen for Jamaica and its people. My grandmother, the Queen, was so right about you. Thank you for showing me such a good time and allowing me to visit so many cultural, historical, and fun places. The warmth that I received from the moment I set foot on your awesome island has been totally overwhelming. In passing on your good wishes to the Queen for her Diamond Jubilee, I cannot wait to tell her all about my 3-day visit. I have made lifelong friends and cool ones at that. Please, can I come back and visit lots? Harry. And I love this so much because it's not written like an official letter, like some guy in a gray suit writing this. You could hear Harry's voice in this letter so much. You could hear just kind of like we heard his voice when, listening to Spare or reading Spare. His voice and the way how he expresses himself comes right through. And I absolutely, absolutely love this. So when the scholar in the last episode, I'd read an article about, them refuting some of the British press claims about why Harry and Meghan were in Jamaica. One of the things she said, when William and Kate came, they were in an official capacity. They were representing the monarchy. But when Harry came, just came to Lyme. And it's the same thing, And yes, this was in an official capacity on behalf of the Queen. But when Harry, the way he experienced it, and then the way how he expressed how he felt about it is so very much, I was liming. I was just having a grand old time. And you can see from the pictures, he was having a great old time, And so it was just like an official liming. Representing the Queen, but liming, And I love this. I absolutely love this. I especially love when he says, I have made lifelong friends and cool ones at that. Please, can I come back and visit? Lots. I absolutely love this. So yes, this is Prince Harry, and this was again back in, as you can see the date, 2012. And so Prince Harry has had a love with Jamaica and the people of Jamaica. And, I know what we know is that he's been back a couple of times now, but unofficially, he may have gone back times when we don't know. I mean, Harry and Meghan make trips that we have no idea, and then we find out later, so who knows how many times he's gone back to visit Jamaica, but this was one of those special times, and I'm glad it's documented so we can look back with him and enjoy it. So totally, Harry. Thank you for your love letter to Jamaica, And we know, we assume they had lots of fun this time as well. And hopefully made new friends as well. And one of the things also that happened with this whole, Harry and Meghan going to Jamaica is this misconception about who the Prime Minister of Jamaica is and what he's about, because there's this narrative like, oh, he is just this anti-monarchy, really against the royal family. He is basically, he is an enemy to the monarchy and an enemy to the royal family, the way how the press has reported this thing, and it became this nonsense. I'm like, do you even know who this prime minister is? Do you know anything about him at all? Because anybody who knows anything about him knows he is very not anti-monarchy. It's funny because I was thinking he was too monarchy. I even had a whole podcast with one of our Jamaican squaddy, Shaf. She and I were going back and forth because I was like, I don't know about this guy. He's all about the monarchy. I mean, one of the reasons I had an issue with him, with him, and if he was really going to go through with getting Jamaica to be a republic, is because of this specific thing. And Chef and I talked about it, but she total confidence that he would do it. And this was when he says, and this was from his office, the office of the Prime Minister. It says, Prime Minister Holness appointed to Her Majesty's Privy Council. Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, has been appointed a member of the Queen's Privy Council. His Excellency, the Governor General, Sir Patrick Allen, issued a statement announcing the appointment today. Her Majesty the Queen has been graciously pleased to approve that Most Honorable Andrew Holness, ONC PCMP, Prime Minister of Jamaica, be appointed a member of Her Majesty's Most Honorable Privy Council. The accepted form of address of the Prime Minister as of today will be the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, ON PCMP, Prime Minister. The appointment became effective on May 26, 2021. Prime Minister Holness is to attend a meeting of the Privy Council at the first convenient opportunity in order to take the oath or affirm in the presence of Her Majesty the Queen. That's right. in 2021, he was appointed the post of one of the Queen's most trusted advisors and being a member of her Privy Council. So if he was so anti-monarchy and all of that stuff, if he was all of that, why would he accept, to be on the Queen's Privy Council again? This was one of the things that I was holding against him, because I was like, no, this guy's in the Privy Council. Why is he gonna, try to get his country to be a republic? So I totally didn't believe that he could do it. But if you hear now how the British press are talking about him and how much they are like, oh, he's so anti-monarchy, he is a Republican, he is just here to destroy the Commonwealth, the Queen's most prized possession, the Queen, he's just here to destroy the monarchy, he's just here to kick the king to the whole narrative. You would think this man has spent his entire life hating the monarchy and just can't wait to throw King Charles out and just can't, the whole thing. This was, if you look at the date, this was July 8th, 2021. This was 1 year before Kate and William's shameless offensive tour to his country. So the year prior, he was appointed to the Queen's Privy Council. So what happened? But again, if you hear the narrative and how they are talking about him, you would swear that this man has hated the monarchy his whole life. And that is simply not the case. And in obviously March of 2022, Kate and William decided to embark on this charmless offensive tour. Gosh, the imagery that they put out there, it's just like, yeesh, from reading people through that fence, that just really, it's so jarring. Even today, looking at that thing, it's like, oh my gosh, talk about colonizing people. And then cosplaying King and Queen from back in the day with this Jeep, and it's like harking right back to colonial times. So needless to say, nobody would forget that charmless offensive tour. And then we had the awkward photo in the bottom when Andrew Holness, fired the both of them, or just dismissed the both of them, letting them know that Jamaica is moving on to governing itself and basically kicking the Queen to the curb. And so, but it's funny because ever since then, he hasn't really, they've been working on their, I guess the referendum, you call it. And I think in April, they'll vote on it. Other than that, just sort of keeping us up to date and keeping people up to date on how far they are. This man has not really, gone and said or done much, well, other than, strengthening his relationship with the U.S. and all of that stuff. In terms of the monarchy, there hasn't been anything much that he said about specifically the monarchy. He has just continually moved this country forward in the direction that he wants to go. But again, if you were to listen to what the British press was saying, you would think this man has been on a crusade to destroy the monarchy. That's the way that they are behaving. So how dare Harry and Meghan go to Jamaica and take pictures, oh my gosh, take pictures and smile at this man whose whole mission is to destroy the monarchy. And then you go to the actual truth about what's happening here. When the Queen passed away in September of 2022, you can see from the date, September 17th, Prime Minister Holness went to the UK for her funeral. So he was there, and the Gleaner wrote about it. Says Holness meet King Charles III. In the video, and they're referencing a video of their meeting, King Charles and Holness shakes hands and exchange brief comments about before sitting. Holness, or Prime Minister Andrew Holness, told King Charles it was an honor to be there and said Jamaicans have a deep love and respect for the late Queen Elizabeth II. Charles told Holness he had read his kind statements about Queen Elizabeth. Holness and Governor General Sir Patrick Allen are in London to attend the funeral of Queen Elizabeth on Monday. On Saturday, Holness signed a condolence book opened at the Lancaster House in London. And they're again referencing a video of Prime Minister Holness meeting with the new King King Charles. And these are photos from that video of them meeting. The King Charles met with 5 different prime ministers from the Commonwealth, and obviously Prime Minister Holness was one of them. Their greeting was very cordial. They shook hands, they talked, smiled, and sat down, as you could see. And this was, I think, Indian news outlet that posted this. It's actually a video. It's on YouTube, and you can watch it. I could post the link, and you can watch it. But that's what it was. Very cordial, very, talking. And again, as the article was saying, that he told apparently told King Charles, you can't hear it from the video, but he told King Charles told him that he had read his kind remarks about the Queen. And so there is literally no animosity here. There is no animosity between them. King Charles seemed to understand that Jamaica needs to move on in how it wants to move on and how it wants to govern its people. There is literally no animosity, really, because again, King Charles was also in Barbados when Barbados became a republic. So why would he be upset? Jamaica is not a republic yet. He is still the head of Jamaica. He's still the king of Jamaica. So he's still the head of state of Jamaica. And so it's very interesting to me that this crazy narrative, talk about wanting Jamaicans to run to the pole and really kick the king off with the nastiness that came out of the UK press. Many Jamaicans are like, yeah, I'm going to really now vote to make sure that this happens, make sure that they do kick them out. And so, yeah, but again, the reality of the relationships is that there's not an animosity. There's no disrespect or any of those things, in spite of what the British press says. So why shouldn't he welcome? They should be happy that Prime Minister Holness welcomed the son and daughter-in-law of the king into his country. So it's really ridiculous, the narrative that was going along, that he is so anti-monarchy. No, he's not. He just is moving his country in another direction where they can govern themselves. So that's what that is. And this is when, as you can see, the same date, the 17th, there he is, as referenced in the article, signing the book, the condolence book for Queen Elizabeth. And this is what he posted, Prime Minister and Holness posted on his Twitter feed about this event. He says, today, like many leaders across the world, including the Caribbean, I signed the condolence book opened at Lancaster House in the heart of London, England, in tribute to Her Majesty, Queen Elizabeth II. As I moved through the city of London and saw the streets lined with hundreds of ordinary citizens who queued for many hours, many of whom journeyed from all over the country to pay their respects, it was clear that Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth was a profoundly beloved monarch. Queen Elizabeth's passing ushers in a new era for both the people of the United Kingdom and the rest of the world, who knew only one head of state for 70 unbroken years. Her legacy is vast, and her mark to the world will be talked about long into the future. And so very respectful. They're mourning the Queen again. A lot of Caribbean people love the Queen. A lot of people respect the Queen. They may not care about the ones that are there now, but they respected the Queen. They respected the monarchy. Even my mom loved the Queen. She doesn't even know why she loved the Queen, but she loves the Queen. As do many people in the Caribbean. A Prime Minister Holness is no different. And again, she had elected him to be on her Privy Council. So no, he is not, as they were calling him, maybe now with their nastiness. He's like, I'm so happy that I am moving my country away from you people. You're just too nasty. So, and so again, it is very different from the narrative that they are painting, or at least trying to paint, about Prime Minister Holness. And one of the other things that came up in the last couple of days is this nonsense narrative that's been going around social media with this video and of Harry and Meghan and their seating arrangement, which is just the most ridiculous thing. But one of the things, and we'll get to it in a second, one of the things that was really lovely was on the red carpet with Brian Robbins and his wife Tracy and Harry and Meghan. They're posing on the red carpet again. Brian and Paramount, they are the distributors of One Love, the Bob Marley movie One Love. They are the distributors. He's the head of Paramount and also the head of Nickelodeon. And that is his wife Tracy with Harry and Meghan. Apparently, according to what they reported, was that Brian and Tracy invited Harry and Meghan along to the premiere. So again, Brian is there, selling the film. He is the distributing the film, and so he is the big honcho, along with the producers and all of that, the cast and stuff like that, that were there for the premiere. And Harry and Meghan were special invited guests. So one of the things that the ridiculous narratives that's been going around the last couple of days is their seating arrangement. Apparently there's this video, these are literally clips from the video. And there was a lot of news outlets are using the top picture to claim that Harry and Meghan were embarrassed by their seats, and Harry looked angry at their seats, and how there's cheap seats are in the cheap seats, and Harry and Meghan were upset because they were in the cheap seats, and all of this nonsense. And some people were like, yeah, they were upset that they didn't have front row seats, and because front row seats are the good seats for people and for people who have importance. There is also claim that, they weren't in the VIP theater because the VIP theater is where the dignitaries. I mean, it's all this ridiculous narratives that's been picked up in the press. And so they were using that photo especially, and then a little clip from the actual video to prove that, Harry and Meghan were upset that they were in the cheap seats. And so if you see the photo at the top, again, this is literally a still from a video. And if you notice in that still, they have her hand sort of look like it's coming by Harry's face. And it's very deliberate why they would do that. It's very, very deliberate why they would do that because, Meghan is the angry Black woman who is angry because she's all dressed up and then has to sit in the cheap seats. But just so you know, when you see a hand like that, you notice her fingers sort of disappear. That's just simply, if you don't know photography, is just simply motion blur. Her hands were moving. So then whoever was photographing it did not set their camera where they can capture moving images. And so you get motion blur. And so if you look at the photo to the right of it, this is the same. And I looked at the video and I freeze framed it right at the exact spot where that photo is framed. It's the exact spot. It's just a little bit different angle, but it's about the exact spot. And if you look at the video, what she is doing, and you notice in both pictures, she's looking back. In the video, she is pointing to someone in the back, and it looks like she's kind of calling them down to the seat. And so and the picture at the bottom is literally her staff, is their security staff, and also the girl. It looks like she is one of their personal assistants because she was the one that was telling them what to do and where to go and all of that stuff and guiding them. So it seemed like she was, maybe a new personal assistant that, that's hired. But that's literally their staff telling Meghan, pointing out her seat, what seat she's in. And all she literally did was nod, and she walked in. She turned around. As you can see the bottom right picture, she turned around. Harry was not yet in, and she sort of basically motioned to him to come in. And so they sat down. And again, where they were sitting, you see a lot of seats around them. He pointed them to seats that are in the front. In the bottom picture on the left, the seats that are, it looks white, but I think it's just the glare or something that got on them. But their seats, and then in the back of them, there are seats back there with water. And some people were saying, they are in the seats with the one with the water, with the dignitaries, and they are in the cheap seats and all of this nonsense. And one of the things you notice about the photo is that there are people in front of them and there are people in the back of them. So that's where they were sitting, sort of in the middle of things. And so apparently to those people, they were sitting in the cheap seats away from the dignitaries. And as I mentioned in the last episode, if you look at the last photo on your right, the lady sitting right next to them is the same one that we saw earlier. That's her, Tracy. And that is the wife of Paramount Pictures, Brian Robbins. So if Tracy is sitting right next to them, well, guess who is sitting right next to Tracy? Right? So her husband would be sitting right next to her because we saw videos of them walking right in together. And so they are sitting there. There's another couple. And it seemed, honestly, it seemed like an interracial couples date night because Tracy and her husband, who is white, Harry and Meghan, and then this other couple, you see the lady in the purple, they were all laughing and talking in a video in the parking lot. So they seemed like they all came together. And so they all were sitting there in the same aisle in the same section where they were calling cheap seats. And it's so ridiculous. And so the next picture is obviously, and that we're going to look at, well, what happened in the back with supposedly the VIP, who are in the back. Well, if you look at this photo, that's Harry and Meghan's security guy in the back there. So that seat that row in the back, whenever it filled up, that was for security and their people. And so why they have what? I have no idea. I have no idea. Maybe they needed water. Who knows? But Harry and Meghan are sitting in the front row there, and there's the security team, and I'm assuming the assistant and all of those people are sitting in the back of Harry and Meghan. And that's my fave picture, honestly. And if you know anything, talking about cheap seats, if you know anything at all about seating in a theater, and which a lot of people know, especially if you're American news outlet, you have no reason and no excuse to be printing nonsense. Because all of them have been in theaters, I'm sure. All of them have been to either a screening or a film festival or whatever, where you have dignitaries. Under no circumstance would you ever put your dignitaries and your special guests in front row seats. Why? Because front row seats in a movie theater is cheap seats. You can't see. You have to sit there and look up at the screen. You're like right at the bottom of the screen looking up to try to do. I know I've the one time I've ever done front row seats was to see Evita. It was the most awful experience. One, because my neck had to be up, my head had to be up the whole time. And two, well, I didn't realize it was a musical, and then I didn't realize Madonna was in it. Don't ask me what I expected. That was just not it. It was a horrible experience. And, I wasn't a dignitary of any kind, but that was my experience. And the cheap seats in the front row. Nobody puts their guests of honor in the front row of a first screening. No one is stupid enough. Why? Because they're the worst seats. There's where you see the least. Why would you put your guests in the front row? Where you put your guests, as you can see by the seating chart in the bottom there, that's where you put your guests, right there in the center, in the middle is where Harry and Meghan is, around where Harry and Meghan were seated. Right? That's where you put your honored guests. Why? I expect that's kind of stupidity. Maybe it's a different thing in the UK. I don't know. But for American news outlets to write something like that stupid, and I don't see a lot of them, but a couple of the usual ones, it's just so ridiculous. And those two pictures at the top are, I just wanted to show from, say that Khan. And that's a perfect example, because the ones in the red is like, for example, Robert Pattinson on the right was Cosmopolis, or one of his films, was at Cannes. Look at the people in the front of him and the people in the back of him. They would not put them in the front row because, again, where they're sitting right there in the middle is where the best seats are. The same thing you see Tom Cruise when his Top Gun was at Cannes. The same thing. You see people in the front turning around to take photos of him, and people in the back. What happened? You put them in the center. That's where the dignitaries are. That's where the best seats are to view the screen. So I don't understand why people would be thinking that Harry and Meghan would be up front when they're dignitaries, when they are special guests. You put them right where they are, or around that little area, right where they are, because why? That is where you get your best viewing experience. So this whole nonsense that they were angry about being in the cheap seats is nonsense. It's absolutely nonsense. So anyway, away from that mess, all in all, even with all that nonsense, it was a wonderful, colorful, beautiful, just special time for Harry and Meghan. I hope they had a great time. I hope they had fun. I hope they spent extra days hanging out on the beach, eating some really amazing jerk chicken and maybe roti and maybe some, I don't know, whatever else, having a cookout on the beach, drinking some coconut water. I mean, whatever it is, all the things that Jamaica has to offer. Hopefully, the whole gang, were able to enjoy, and not only that, but hang out with the Marley family, with the Prime Minister family, and all of those things. I just hope they had a great time. I just hope they had a fantastic time, and we'll go back to Jamaica and Lime soon. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for watching. That's it. Thank you to our awesome moderators, Lydia Church, Nelly, Karen M, Cookies and Cream, Black Queen. You are awesome. Thank you to our awesome 2 Cents crew who support the channel on a monthly basis. I appreciate you so very, very much for your support. And for those of you supporting the chat, PayPal, Cash App, all of those, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I could not do it without you. And thank you to all of you who have subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed, please go ahead and subscribe. Click the notification bell so you know when we drop a video. Please like and share the video. Please like us and share us, and also join the 2 Cents crew. But anyways, that's it. And have a fantastic day. And I shall chat with you next time. Bye.